Hi, and welcome to Workplace at the River. My name is Joel, and I'm part of the team at Workplace at the River. And I'd like to welcome all of you here this evening for our weekly Workplace at the River Biz Talks, talks that will empower you in the workplace. If you've joined us before, we just completed our COVID-19 series, and today we rejoice. We are very thankful because the RMCO, we've just started the RMCO, and the MCO is just ended, the CMCO is just ended, and now I think many of us are back to work. And it's good to see so many of you here this evening with us. Before we jump into the talk for today, I'd like to ask us to all participate in a little icebreaker. So on the screen, you will see a link. It is menti.com. Go to menti.com, key in the code, and we would love to hear from every one of you here, all right? So who is the leader that has inspired you the most? Yeah, we've got 21, another 3 responses here. So that's about 24 of you. Thank you all for participating. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome and invite our speaker for today. His name is Jonathan Lee. He is the Group COO, Chief Operating Officer of Reedfield Properties Malaysia. I'm sure you've heard of this, Reedfield Properties. And he will be speaking about a topic called Leading in the Midst of Uncertainty. Jonathan, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Now, if you could hear me clearly, please press 1 in your chat box there right now. If you could hear me clearly, please press 1 on the chat box. Thank you very much. Thank you for participating today. Great. My name is Jonathan. I am part of this organization called Reedfield Properties. We've been in existence for the past 35 years. 4 years ago, I joined this company when Reedfield acquired my company that I started. And last year, we went into business with Keller Williams worldwide, one of the largest real estate companies in the world with 180,000 agents and counting. Our company has about 750 agents, 3 market centers in Malaysia. Our turnover is about 40 million ringgit. We do about 3 billion worth of transaction annually in average. But today, my goal here is to give you a perspective of what leadership is like in a season of crisis and a season of trying times. And I'm going to speak a lot from the experiences that I am experiencing right now in journeying with my company and my organization right now. If you are ready to start, please type go, and I'm going to go right now. If you're ready to start, please type go. Awesome. Right now, what has happened is that we are in a time of crisis. And in this crisis, it has kind of given us a season of shifting or shift. We are in a shift right now. And what it means in a shift, and this is a very drastic shift, it's a major shift that we have probably never experienced in the past 50, 60 years. And in this shift, potentially what we will see is what we call a reset. Now, let me quickly show you my screen. I'm going to quickly kind of draw a simple graph. Right? I'm going to draw a very simple graph. Now, in 2019, which is not too long ago, the market was going through a very bull run. It was a very good year for the global economy in general, right? So everything was doing very well, right? And that was the graph of where the economy is. And somehow, somewhere in the end of February, towards the beginning of March, something happened. There was a major shift, and things became this. And it was a very sharp dive. We were going through what we call an upshift, and now we are in a downshift, right? Right now, I believe we are somewhere here. 2 months ago, we were somewhere here, right? And what happens is this: the shift was caused by something called COVID, right? Now, I want to give you an illustration what I think this crisis tantamounts to. Have you all watched that movie called Deep Impact many years ago? I can't remember what year, but it's the late 90s, early 2000s. It was a movie about an asteroid that hit planet Earth. And when the asteroid hit planet Earth, 1998, there you go. Now we know how old Joe is. And in 1998, or not 1998, in that time, that movie, it depicts where an asteroid hit planet Earth. And when the asteroid hit planet Earth, it changes everything in the whole planet. Now, if I give you that illustration, the asteroid that's hit planet Earth right now is called COVID-19. It has absolutely changed the way we live, the way we do business, the way we interact, the way we behave, and the way we connect. And this is a way we are connecting right now, which we never thought of connecting this way 3 months ago, right? So the asteroid has hit planet Earth. Now, what happens during a crisis like this? There is a downshift in terms of where the business is. I'm going to draw another graph. Now, if all of you are working for a company that's in business, right? All of you either owning a business or you're working for a company that's in business, potentially what you see in 2019, this is the market for your business. Assuming you are selling, give me a business. Assuming like my business, if I'm selling real estate, right? It was a great year for 2019. But when there is a downshift, what happens is the market, the volume of transaction, the number of business being done has grown lesser. Do you agree with that? During this downshift, there was a huge dip in terms of volume of businesses. What it says that in the whole economy of things, there were less people spending money. There are people still spending money, but there are less people spending money, and they are choosing what they want to spend their money on. Now, in my business in real estate, what I will account for is the number of transactions have dropped, will drop, because real estate is a big ticket item. And when you see that, what has happened is if you were in business in 2019 and your market share in the business, assuming is 25%, right? Sorry. Let me draw this. It's 25%. And today, if your market share is 25% here, you are actually maintaining your business. This is actually 50% right now. Does that make sense? So one of the things that's happening right now, if you are in business right now, whatever business you are doing or whatever work you are doing that's part of a business, the number one goal right now is to fight for market share because market is shrinking. And if you just maintain 25%, you are dropping down to 15 or 10%. Does that make sense? Because there is a shift in the market. If you have not shifted your behavior and your thinking and your action plans for this market, then that's a challenge for all of us here today. Okay, just want to share that perspective. And one of the things that you need to understand is this. You need to know the reality. What I'm sharing with you right now is the reality of what's happening here right now. And thankfully, after the past 2.5 months, we are now back, sort of like going back to a new normal. But the reality is COVID-19 is going to stay for some time, right? We'll quickly show you a graph. Some of these resources, I hope, will be helpful for you all in your planning and all that. There's this website I want to show you all right now. It's called covid19.pemandu.org, right? This is a dashboard. Quick question to everyone here in the chat box here. If you are in the chat box here right now, tell me which country, in your opinion, has done well or is in the best position in terms of their recovery in COVID-19. Which country? Tell me which country. Give me a country right now. Tell me. China, Malaysia, New Zealand, Malaysia, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, Taiwan, Korea. Now, tell me, do you get this information based on what you feel about what the news are telling you right now? Or is it based on data? So if you look at data right now, as of today, number one country that is doing well in COVID is Australia. Number two, surprisingly, is Thailand. 3 is Hong Kong, 4 is Taiwan, South Korea is 5, Malaysia is ranked number 13. Yesterday, Malaysia was 12, today it was 13. Guess where's China? China, I think, is on rank 31. So this is a very good data that was launched, I think, last week. I was privileged enough to be invited for this virtual launch by Dato Sri Idris Jalla last week. And he explained to us generally what this data is trying to tell us. And one of the things that's important for you to note, this is the global infection trend. It is not really coming down globally. So this is the reality that we are in right now. So meaning, this new normal of social distancing, of doing things virtually, of behaving differently from what we were, it's going to be the new normal, and it's going to be the new reality. And we've got to accept and understand this is the new reality. Now, in this real reality, it's going to be crisis mode for all of us that is in business or you're working for an organization. Now, in reality, a crisis mode, what is the number one thing that leadership should be looking at right now in business? There are only two tactics. You got to shift priorities, right? You got to move from strategic, the growth-oriented kind of strategies, and you got to change that. You got to dump that plan. You got to move on to what we call a tactical approach. There is a difference between strategic approach and tactical approach. Strategic approach means you go for a long term. Let's buy market share. Let's go out there and develop something and win more market share. A tactical approach, it's very clear, it is short term. Now, if you were doing this tactical approach in March, April, May, I congratulate you. You are probably on a better road to recovery. Now, if you're just starting right now, maybe this is really for you. Think about tactically what to do. And there are two things in this tactical mode that you choose, that you have to do. Number one, whatever you do, focus on how to survive. And number two, focus on how to stabilize. I repeat, focus on how to survive and focus on how to stabilize. What does that mean? It's very simple. In order for you to survive through this, for your company or the company that you work for, number one, survival means cash. Survival equals to cash. What's the cash position that you are in right now in your company? If you're running a company or you're part of a company, always think like that. Survival means cash. Meaning, in order for you to survive, what's the oxygen that you require to make sure that you don't die? So cash is equivalent to oxygen. And in order for you to stabilize means cash flow. I hope I make myself clear. In order for you to survive through this crisis, is cash and cash flow. The faster you get into a financial position where you are cash neutral, the faster you will survive and stabilize. What is cash neutral? Cash in versus cash out is equal. What your expense is versus what the money that is coming in for revenue or from the business, it's equal. Therefore, you are cash neutral. Remember this, in order for you to hit cash neutral right now, because we are in a down market or certain things, there's a big gap. Some of us, my business was down 90% for the month of April. No businesses are designed to withstand zero cash flow or zero revenue. No business. There's no business in this world. There's no model that you are designed for zero revenue. And some are maybe designed for 2 or 3 months, zero revenue, but the 4th month kicks in, the 5th month will kick in. So cash flow becomes a situation. And the only way for you to manage that is you've got to think about auditing expenses. Remember, current expense consume future oxygen. Whatever you spend today will also be consuming your future oxygen. Face reality. This is the new reality that we have to face. In order for us to move forward in this crisis or in this situation that we are in, be very clear of what positioning you are in right now. What's the reality in your business and in your life? You've got to be very clear. And you need to find time to find that clarity. And these tactics that we are deploying right now is very short term. And one of the ways that I will give you an illustration on how that looked like, what are the tactical way of behaving as a leader in your organization or in your team, is to give you an example of an emergency room. How many of you have watched that show called ER? Anyone watch the show ER? Anyone young enough to watch the show ER? Oh, you never watched ER before? Yeah, okay. So how does that ER look like? Anyone, please tell me, how does an emergency room look like? Anyone? Put on the chat box. Kanjiong ah. Yes, very kanjiong. You will hear things chaotic, messy, busy, war zone. You will hear things like blue alert, red alert. You will hear all those things. Yes, a lot of blood. You're absolutely right. There are a lot of equipments there. That's right. There's a lot of resources there. So in order for you to think about the concept of your business, is to treat it like an emergency room for the next 6 to 12 months, at least 6 to 12 months. I'm treating my business up to 2021 December as in an emergency room. I make a conscious decision to do that. And in an emergency room, there are 5 things that normally particularly happen. Okay, number 1, there has to be extreme focus and intensity. I repeat, number 1, if the virtual support on this call can help me type that in the chat box, that'd be great. Number 1, extreme focus and intensity. You gotta be very focused on an intensive mode, meaning you got to be watching all your vital signs in that particular season that you are in right now. Be very focused, be very clear. What is the way that I can do to cut expense so that I can manage cash neutral fast enough? Very focused in that. Very intense. Look through your sales numbers. What's going on? What are the strategic moves or the tactical move that I can deploy right now to potentially increase my productivity? Intense, very intense. During MCO, I was just sharing with the team during the briefing this evening before we started that I did 95 virtual training sessions. I did 95 sessions of virtual training, about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, about 180, 190 hours worth of content done. Never in my life I have spoken to a TV or spoken to a screen. Right now, I'm in my office. There is a huge overhead projector. During MCO, I was at home. I was looking at my screen with a camera in front of it from morning, noon, and night. Everything was done virtually. You know, one of my friends texted my wife. Someone posted my picture of me talking in front of my TV. And he asked me, John, asked my wife, John, why does John look like he's scolding the TV? And I remember when I started doing virtual training at home, the balcony was open because I was in my living hall. And I had to use that living hall because the internet was the best connection there. And I had to, because it was hot, I would just open the window and I was speaking. Everyone, my wife thinking, is hearing, say, I can hear you from downstairs, upstairs, I can hear you, like you're scolding the television. You know, you look like a fool doing that. And it was very funny because I didn't realize that, but I was very extremely focused and was very intense. I had to rally everyone in my organization to focus on the right thing, to lead generate, to call up their clients, to do care calls, to train them again about how to manage database, to talk about all these things in a very intensive mode. Every single day from 8 to 10 at night, I was on a Zoom call with as much as I can with people in my organization. That's extreme focus, very focused. And I realized one thing, this MCO has helped me understood that working from home is not that bad. I'm more focused, I'm more clearer, I can do more things, I can speak to more people without traveling, without people traveling to me. So I was very focused, it was very intense. Number 2, you've got to constantly monitor all vital signs, constant monitoring of vital signs. What's vital signs? When you go into an emergency room, if you're a code blue situation, they will check for your heartbeat, they will check for your oxygen, they want to make sure that you have enough oxygen and your heart is beating correctly. That's a vital sign. A vital sign in a business will look like, how's your cash position like on a daily basis? What's the cash book? When is this money coming in? What's the expense that you have to pay? What can I hold, what I cannot hold? Monitor vital signs. What's the sales number looking like? What's all this? Those are the vital signs that is very critical. Now, if you are running your business or you're part of a team that's running a business, without a dashboard to tell you where your business is, this is the time for you to think about how do you have that dashboard. A dashboard in your business means is in one screen, You can tell on a daily basis how your business is behaving and functioning right now. So that's constant monitoring vital signs. And everybody in the team should be helping out to work on this together. Everyone needs to know what's the vital signs like. You know, when the Prime Minister announced MCO back in March, and it was just 1 week before March, I was just back from the US in Dallas. Okay, I was in Dallas for a conference, and I came back. And that time, it was an issue of our political situation. Then straight away, we were in MCO. We were not prepared for this. But when I kind of study what's happening around the world on the day of the announcement, the next day I called for a meeting. I remember sitting down with my team, and I looked at my financial position. I told them, potentially, we will not have revenue for at least 2 months if this goes on. And I was very clear with them that we will not be the same the way we were once we have finished this MCO. It would drastically change the way we're going to run our business. Right? So that's something that I was able to tell them because I was monitoring some of these vital signs even before the crisis. That's a habit that I developed when I was starting my business at a younger age. The third thing is constant communication with everyone. This is a time that a lot of people are very fearful and very afraid. Now, we have probably passed the intense moment of fear. We are now going into a point of trying to find recovery, right, in this season of crisis. The intense crisis has sort of passed us, and now we are in that recovery mode. So constant communication with everyone in your team is critically important. Now, even though CMCO was implemented in May, but my entire regional team that works directly reports to me, all of us are still working from home. I have 750 agents, so I cannot risk any unnecessary risk of infection within the office. So I only allow my market centers to open for limited services. 80% of what we do are virtually, 20% are done physically. There are probably only 5 or 6 people in my market center upstairs in this office that is serving the agents virtually, right? They come to the office. But the rest of my management team, they're all working virtually. So what we do is every single day at 4:30, there's a time block for us to check in to make sure everyone is aligned with our 30, 60, 90 plan. So we have a plan that for 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days, what we are doing. So we are planning every 90 days. So that requires constant communication. If you go into an ER, nurse is always talking to doctor, doctor is talking to nurse, talking to patient. There's a lot of constant communication going on. That is important. The more connected, the more engaged you are with your team, the better the working environment and the better the working dynamics will be. I never knew that I could stay in connection and contact with so many of my people or my agents during this MCO. I never spent so much time talking to so many people. So this is the time for us to have constant communication. Number four, massive flexibility to changing conditions. You've got to be flexible in changing conditions. You've got to pivot as fast as you can. As fast as you can. Pivoting is an important word in today's season of business. Massive flexibility to changing conditions. This is important. You've got to be very flexible. When there was a new policy that came out for my business last week, when the Prime Minister sort of told us, okay, these are the goodies for property and all that. Immediately, I called for a meeting. I said, this is what we're going to do. Bang, I'm going to have a session on Saturday morning. We're going to do all these things, and boom, we hit it. So you got to be flexible. It was a Monday morning. On a Friday, the announcement came. At 4:30 during our daily huddle, we decided Monday we got to do a live call with all our colleagues inside in the company to announce what are the strategies that we need to deploy or tactics to deploy to use the policies that the government is given. You got to be flexible, and I told my staff right now, you all have to be flexible. I know it's a public holiday, but that's the best time for us to get all our agents. So we've got to do it on a Monday morning for 2 hours. So massive flexibility to changing conditions. If you're working for someone in an organization right now, you've got to be flexible in the roles and responsibility that's happening. Everybody have to chip in to add value to the company right now. You know, one of my my head of finance for the entire group, she's managing the finances, managing the accounts, managing all the finances and all that. She has to play a role when we are doing MCO. She has to play a role as a virtual support for my virtual training. I have up to 400 to 500 people at one time in a virtual session like this, and I need a lot of back-end people to support me. So the young lady that was in finance, head of finance, she had to pivot and take responsibility to be part of the team to run virtual trainings. That's an example of being flexible as an employee or as a team member of an organization. Many people have to do different roles right now. Have to do different roles. My role was not to do training. My role was to do strategic leadership. But I have got to spend majority of the time on the screen, training and motivating and keeping people in time, in connection. So those are some of the things that you've got to be flexible. And the last thing is speed of response matter. You've got to be fast. You've got to change fast. You've got to move very, very fast. Here's one thing I want to add for you all. This old thinking or this old philosophy of slow and steady wins the race, to me, in my business, in my opinion, for my business, and I only speak for my business, is not relevant anymore. Because fast and consistent beats slow and steady. You've got to understand that concept, that you've got to be fast and you've got to be consistent. Speed of the response matter, how fast you respond to the speed. It was immediately during MCO, when the announcement came, I had a live call. Before the announcement, my team have no idea how to do a live Zoom session. We have no idea. We don't even have, I think we only have one Zoom account that we use to speak to our friends from the US, but we have no idea. It was that 2-3 hours that I gave them that they use that speed to research and start learning how to do Zoom. So you've got to change fast. You've got to respond to it fast, even though you have limitation, but your speed to the response to want to take action matters. So as if those who are in leadership right now in this conversation or this call, your speed to the response matter. In this season of crisis, the one thing that will change the entire landscape of the company or the business is leadership, period. It is the leader that will shift fast enough to bring the destiny of the company to a new reality right now. So leadership is important right now. It is the most critical thing that we need right now in this crisis. It's the same. Whenever we are in crisis, the leadership of a country, the leadership of a company is the same. It is very critical, important. And we see some of the countries out there around the world today where leadership begins to be a lot of a challenging time for them. They need more help in the area of leadership. And they will see a lot of issues that's going on right now, right? So these are some of the things that I wanted to bring into perspective, to treat your business like an emergency room, right? And right now, in order for you to do that, you've got to be clear of where you are and how you're going to navigate yourself out of this situation. One of the things I want to end with this session is this. Do not fight uncertainty with certainty. One of my mentors taught me this 2 months ago. Do not fight uncertainty with certainty. You can only fight it with clarity. I hope today I've added value in your business and your life. Back to you, Joe.
Wow, thank you so much for that. That is so insightful. I think there's a lot of stuff that we can learn from there. And I think even your last line that you said there just before you passed it to me, don't fight uncertainty with certainty. Yeah, it's something that's something that we all need to learn. All right. So for all of us here who are in the audience, feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. It is for you to engage with us, to engage with the speaker, engage with the team here serving you this evening. But we'd like to go to a bunch of questions, and they're coming in through our tiny.cc link. All right. So yeah, it's there on screen, tiny.cc/askwater. So, you know, Jonathan, thanks for bringing up the ER thing, the ER example. I remember I was a small boy when I watched ER. And it's ER in Chicago Hope, right? So yep. It's interesting that both of those shows came up around the same time. Well, I think it's around the the global financial crisis at that time, which it came up. And you know, when you brought it up, so you know, ER it is in an emergency, and there's not many like telltale signs, and there's not many vital signs that we can do. But a lot of it is like, you know, we got hit by a truck. It's not like, you know, we've got a blocked artery and then, you know, you fall down because you've been your diet is off, but you get hit by a truck. So you get rushed to the hospital, to the ER, and then they need to make quick decisions on you. So what should we do? You know, if at this season, at this state, you know, there's a few people I've talked to that they are caught in between jobs. Like they left one job just before or even during MCO, and then they're trying to look for a new place, but because of the uncertainty, because of the challenges that are faced globally, really, it's been difficult. That's one. But I mean, you also highlighted the thing about cash. How do people survive? You know, if like at that point they knew that their cash was you know, not the most steady, but they were not prepared. And then when MCO hit, you know, they were like completely no income, you know, don't know what to do, that kind of thing. So what would your advice be to these type of people?
Okay. First of all, one thing you can do is audit your expenses. The first thing you can do right now immediately is to cut your expenses. Let me give you an example. In a business or a personal, right? Or the major things in a business expense is always rental to premises, salaries. These are the two key things. Which one can you cut first? Or which one will you cut in order to prevent it from bleeding in the future? For rental purposes, I make a very clear decision that we're going to minimize all the office space. The office space that I comfortably sit in, which is about 3 doors away from here. I've got a nice glass room. I've got workstation for about 12 people that would report directly to me. I'm giving that space up. I'm going to stop paying rental in December or November, I believe. And right now, I'm asking all my team to shut down that office, move and work from their home. I'm canceling all the subscription over there. There's no power bill going on. I off the water. I will save 10,000 a month by doing that. So whatever you can do, audit your expenses. Personally, audit your expenses. What is the bare minimum that you can have? That's the first thing that you can do right now. Audit your expenses. Audit your own personal expenses or your business expenses. Cut. And the next hard thing that we had to do, and I'm very open and transparent to share with all of you, I spoke to my founders, my majority shareholders. I'm a minority shareholders. Of course, my founders are of a certain season in life where they have enough reserve and all that. They make a conscious decision. They are cutting their own salary. They are taking zero income from April onwards. I took a 45% cut for my whole package, and I work with some of my paid staff. They have to go through certain cuts. And I let them know this is reality. Why? Because this is our vital signs are showing this, and we don't know how long this will last. So if you don't know, nobody knows where this is going to end. There's no one point finger, it's going to end right now. We don't know. So the only way is to stretch every single dollar as long as you can. Right? And I told, personally for me, I make a very conscious vow. I said this, I say I will stop drinking Starbucks the day MCO came. I literally stopped ordering Starbucks. And I realized Starbucks cost me 10 ringgit. Now I go, and my second choice is Essential Coffee. It's 10 bucks for 20 sachets. I think it's 20. So it's about 50 cents for one cup of coffee, one shot of coffee. It's not the best, but it's still coffee, right? So these are certain things that you all can do. We all can do right now that it's practical. Cut to the bare minimum. And you realize actually in life, simple things are actually quite sufficient. This whole MCO, I realized that simplicity is good enough for us to be grateful for our lives. So some of these things we can do right now. Cut expense, right? Cool. Yeah, back to you, Joe.
Thanks for that, Jonathan. Yeah, I like your coffee example. I mean, I'm not a connoisseur, but I enjoy my coffee as well. So I found this place where I can get like good coffee shop coffee, and it's like what, 15 bucks a bag of 1 kilo. So yeah, sharing coffee stories. But thanks for that. I think it's very important. Audit your expenses, and as Jonathan said, it's both on a personal basis and on a company basis. Yeah, thanks for sharing that these times are bad. Things are real. People have to accept that the fact that they're going to get a pay cut. Your staff have got a pay cut. You've moved to a different office. Yeah, thanks for being real with us. And I think it's something that all of us need to realize that we can't go with certain luxuries that we used to have before. And we need to downsize in every sense of the word and simplify life essentially. Yeah. So there's a couple more questions. So your last line just now, you said something to the extent of don't fight uncertainty with certainty, but fight it with clarity, right? So maybe you can give an actual example or an actual illustration to give us the clarity about what that means.
So let's just give an example. I'm like in a down market, all of us are fighting for market share. Means we want to earn more sales, right? We want to do something that will bring us more revenue, right? We want to sell something. All of us are selling something, either services or products or whatever, right? We're selling something. So we go into this mindset and saying that, hey, look, let's go quickly do something. Let's react to this and quickly find a way to gain more sales. Let's all sit down and think of an advertisement to write down on the market so that people will call us. Right? That is reacting. And what's the best way to advertise so that we get more sales? What is the best artwork to do so we can get more sales? What is the best approach, right, to do to get more sales? Now that's trying to find a point of certainty. If I do this one thing, I sure counting my whole problem. That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. Now, in order for us to find clarity, you got to understand what's the market right now. What's going to move in the market? What are the things that we can do without spending a single cent to bring revenue? And let's not focus on things that may not bring us revenue. Let's find some things that is clear. For example, when the announcement of the Prime Minister came to us about the property HOC, right? Home ownership campaign. This is our business. I can only speak for my business. And give you an example. Straight away, we decided, let's go and do certain things that will bring education to the marketplace on how to own your first home. Let's be very clear. When you want to do a marketing campaign to gain revenue, you got to be very clear on the messaging and the target audience. Be clear with that first. Know who you're speaking to, what's the value are you going to add to them, and why should they speak to you, right? You got to find out that, you got to find that clarity, not a certainty. And the clarity, to me, is a constant dynamic change. Clarity is a constant dynamic pursuit because it changes. Because everybody cannot do one thing forever and remain there and then expect a different result, right? That's insanity, right? So we've got to constantly pursue that journey of clarity because life is not a destination, life is a journey. Business is not a destination, business is a journey. That's the infinite thinking. Looking for that one thing to sell, like one product. I'll give you an example. Mobile phones, right? Back then, all of you know what is Nokia 3210, right? You all know 3210, right? Those who are old enough, you know Nokia 3210. It's the best-selling phone in the world, best-selling phone. It was the best product back then. And that time, companies were building based on products, right? They find certainty in this product, let's just push it and let's make it happen. Suddenly came this guy called Apple, who decided to use a finger as a stylus and change the whole entire world. It's no longer about a beautiful product right now. It's now about how functional it can be, what is the value that it can bring to the particular individual, and how much value this product, this business can bring. And the phone is developing many software, many applications that can add value to people. It's a constant dynamic journey, right? It's always trying to find certainty to help people to do better in life. And that's the kind of approach that we need to have in our business. I hope I kind of answered that question, but don't look for one thing or that one periodical thing that will work, right? So that era is over right now. It is the constant invention and reinvention mindset that we need to have in order to maintain or strategize our business to a more sustainable journey. Right.
Wow, that's very insightful. Yeah, don't look into one thing. And yeah, clarity is not just one point, but it continues to be crystallized. It continues to be clarified even in as time goes by. Yeah, I think that's true. I think at least for us in Malaysia, we are beginning to see probably the light at the end of the tunnel. Things that are happening among us, and even the whole situation about COVID-19. I think we are in generally a pretty good place, you know. So I think our government has done well, So if all goes well, this recovery, MCO will be completely lifted by the end of August 31st, right? So,
hey, Joe, can I add one more thing? Sorry, can I add one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead, Jonathan.
This is another good example. I always like to study competition in my business. So in your own business, study competitors. And you study the competitors, and you also study the problems in the market in your business. Find the problems in the market, bring a solution, and you make a lot of money. You do very well in business. In the same thing in your company right now, find the problem in your company right now that you have. Find out what can you do to bring solution to the company. That's what, because in order for you to find a solution, you must be certain what the problem is, right? Zoom is very certain what the problem is. We're all going to have social distancing, right? They've got to upgrade their services. They're now offering 30% discount for pro package for 1 year. They're going to make so much money and so much progress in their business because they know where the problem is. They are very clear what is the value proposition they can offer to solve this problem. So that's another good example, Norman, to help you understand. Find the problem. Every time when someone finds a solution to solve that problem, Grab solved the problem, Tesla solved the problem of global warming. Those that solve problems will always win the market. Yeah, back to you, Joe.
So yeah, thanks for that, Jonathan. Just let me say that if you got any questions, just drop it in. We've got about 10 minutes, so we'll do our best to answer your questions. There's quite a number of questions that we need to go through. This is a more practical question. So, you know, in the midst of this uncertainty for the next 6 to 12 months, for yourself, maybe you can talk about your own industry in Reapfield. How do you make that decision whether, you know, number one, would you want to diversify your income streams, diversify your products and services so that you can get the numbers, or do you want to only focus on one product and like, you know, just hammer on it and make sure it flies, you know? So how do you go about making that decision?
So based on I can speak for my business, and my business, in reality, it's about having the most production agents in my company. That's my business. The agent's business is to have the most transaction in their own business. So my business is housing as many good and production agents into my company. I'm very clear that's my business. So be clear of what your business is, right? And some of the things that we are doing right now, it's really based on, number one, you've got to assess what's the capacity and the resources that you have in your company right now, meaning the cash, the resources, the people, the expertise. What do you have right now? And what is all these people and all these resources? What is that one or two things that you can do right now that will make a change in your business? So for example, in my business, I need to bring in and recruit as many agents as I can. If I have more agent counts, I help them to be more productive, I will make more profit, right? That's very clear cut. So what I do, I did virtual trainings, 95 sessions. I got all my agents to invite their friends, either they're from a different company or they are fresh agents, they came in and they joined. We have so much intense conversation, coaching sessions with them, one-to-one, consult these people. I did all this to bring in people to join my company. In the past 3 months, we have recruited almost 75 people. During MCO, I recruited 69 people. Past MCO, I think we're at 75 to 78 people right now that have joined my company. And about 30% of them are producing agents from other companies that decided to come to us because they saw how we respond and how we act and how we added value to them. So the opportunity right now is to showcase how can you add value to the marketplace that is in your business that could bring more business to you. So I was very clear what my business model is to bring in more agents. And I had to find the most important thing, one thing to do. Right now, it's not about growth. It shouldn't be about profit. It should be about survival and stability. You've got to get the priorities right. You got to get your, I'll give you an example of prioritizing. When the Titanic was leaving from UK all the way to America, that was the journey. Somehow, somewhere halfway, they hit an iceberg. When they hit that iceberg, guess what happened to everyone on that ship? Were they thinking about going to US? No. Whoever is thinking about going to US and having a nice dinner in US, he's probably insane. He's thinking, how am I going to survive? So the priority shifted when you hit a crisis. You've got to know that. So shift that priority. How can you survive and try and stabilize so that you stay in business? Because the reality is this. Some of the competitors in all our businesses, not all will survive. We are already seeing that right now. We are seeing that some of them are closing shops, some of them are closing business all around the world. And that's going to happen. So the one that survives through this, the next 18 months, will likely have a high chance of thriving. So be very clear. Don't go and be a hero and start doing many, many things right now. Be clear, how can you survive and how can you stabilize? That was the approach that I took. Now, if I have $100 billion, that's a different approach. I will be acquiring right now. I don't have. The reality is some of these strategies we learn from some of these books, we've got to relate back to the reality of where we are. Yeah, great. Elon Musk thinks like that. He wants to go into the aerospace industry. He wants to diversify. Great. Elon Musk has a few $billion. I don't. So you've got to be realistic, right? So whatever is in that situation, you got to know yourself and have that clarity. Yeah, back to you, Joe.
All right, thanks. Yeah, be realistic. And what we're focusing on right now is survival, right? And just waiting this through. I've got a bunch of questions which I find quite interesting, and I think it's very positive. So I've got this one coming from Pearly. And well, I hope you are the one that's in this situation, because it's really good news. If you're in a good or positive cash flow position, what's the next thing you can then do?
Go and take that cash flow and go and win market share. Go and fight and win market share. The ones that hold on to better market share will end up having a good, thriving success opportunity. Go and win market share. In order for you to win market share, you must first win mind share. You must be in the heads and the thoughts of everyone in your industry. I had 95 sessions of training in real estate during MCO to reach out to 30,000 agents in my country, in this country, to bring mind share to them, that think about us, about training, think about our system, think about our models, think about technology that we have, right? Win that market share, that mind share, then go and win market share, right? It has to have it in sequence. Go and add value to someone right now. Go find a way to go add value to someone and ask them this question: how can I help you save more money right now by serving you? Or how can I add value to your business or to you as an individual in terms of whatever services or product that you're selling right now? Go and find a way to win that market share right now. Right.
Wow, thanks for that. Yeah, I think it's very, very interesting that you say win the mind share, not just the market share, but the mind share of people. Yep. Maybe one of the ways to do that is related to our next question. So I think all this is connected. So this question goes like, what about altruism? What about helping others? While you're able, shouldn't you help others? Shouldn't you pay it forward? That concept. Things that you have a lot of resources. Maybe you've got a lot of cash. How do you go about altruism and things like that?
Well, I think this is the opportunity for you to do your part to support the community that you are in, and do whatever you can to do that. And the only way for you to be able to do that is that your organization that you are in right now constantly has profit for you to do that, right? So if you don't protect that engine that generates profit, that will give you the ability to support others, then this will also stop, because there is a certain limitation on whatever cash that we have. Right? So do whatever you can to support the community. That's a great thing to do. During the MCO, we had a campaign to raise funds for all the real estate agents in Malaysia, whoever that needs support. We've prioritized those who have families, and we open up to the whole Malaysia. Everyone could contribute and everyone could ask for help. Right? So we could do that. So these are the things that I think a crisis brings the best out in us generally. It's an opportunity for us to show up and be human, be real, and help others. And that's the nature of mankind. It does have that inclination to want to help and support someone else, right? So do that. And sometimes it's not about money. I know I'm doing this right now. I'm volunteering my time right now. I know during the MCO in my own local church, I did sessions like this as well to support the business community as well. So do what you can through your time and resources and even money to support that. I think that is necessary. I think that is needed right now. So if you have any opportunity or any abilities that you can serve, go serve right now. The country needs you, the people needs you, the world needs you.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah, if you have the capacity and if you can, even if you can't, it is as Jonathan said, it's just human nature to care about others. Don't be selfish with whatever you have. I think for those of us here in the audience here today, if you're able, one of the things that are happening is that we want to jumpstart the economy, right? So maybe a simple thing that many of us can do is go and visit your local stores, go and visit your local supermarket. Don't go to all those Starbucks. Yes, the franchisee is probably a Malaysian, but yeah, go someone local. Go to your grocery store. Go to your coffee shop. You probably can't sit there, but tapao your coffee or your teh tarik. And I'm sure you will be able to help in a very simple way as well. Yeah, so I believe that's something to do. Before we end, I know we're running out of time. Just a very simple, practical question, and I guess this is your area of expertise. So, in your experience, is it a good time to invest in property right now?
I think investment in property is good in any time. You just have to go and look for the opportunity. But the season that we are in right now has a lot of opportunities. There is a lot of people right now that needs to sell. Right? There is a massive issue that we have from developers, which is called the overhang properties. Properties that's completed unsold. A lot of them. There are a lot of opportunities. You just need to find someone or go and do research, look at data, see where is the best opportunity. Now, you will not find the bottom of the market, because the minute you find the bottom of the market, that means the market has already risen. So you have to go in there right now and ask yourself, what is that value that I want? Be clear. I want 20% off the market. I'm okay with that. I'm going to get it. And what's the reason of you buying? Why are you buying? How soon must you buy? And what's stopping you from buying? Ask all these questions to yourself, right? It's an absolute opportunity to look at it right now. I think this is one in a 10-year cycle season that we have. And it's a very peculiar season, a very peculiar time that we are in right now, because we have never seen so much opportunity and so much choices that you are spoiled with. So go and search, do your research, be intelligent about it, talk to people about it. Don't trust what the agents tell you, even though I'm in the same business. Go and ask for data, look for proof, look for evidence. Evidence comes before emotions, right? So that's something I would advise. This is the absolute right time to do this right now.
Oh, excellent. I like your quotes. I probably will quote you and your quotes. Evidence comes before emotions. Yeah. It's something, so we need to really study the market. All right, I think we have covered all the questions for today. Thank you so much, Jonathan. But before, we say goodbye, is there anything else you'd like to say? Any closing remarks that you'd like to share with all of us?
I think in this season, it's going to be we've got to have that shift of mindset. If you don't shift the way we think, we cannot shift the way we act, and we won't shift the results that we have. Success in life or business or work is sequential. The first sequence is shifting your mindset, understanding the reality and accepting it, and look at the opportunity in this new reality. Shift that mindset. Then shift your actions. You will shift your actions and you will get your results. Success is sequential. There's a very good book by this author who is currently my mentor and my coach, called Gary Keller. He wrote a great book called The One Thing. The One Thing. It's called The One Thing in Google. It's a national bestseller in the US. In the world right now, it's called The One Thing. And it helps us to find clarity in how we should think in any time in our life. And I think this season, that clarity is critical. What's the one thing that you need to do right now that everything else doesn't matter? It will bring you to a certain position that you want to be in. Right. So these are some of the things that I would add. I would go to the audience and shift your mindset so that you can shift your action, and eventually it will shift your results. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to serve everyone here today. Thank you for giving me this privilege to serve everyone here today. Thank you very much, Joe, for inviting me. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Yeah, we've truly been blessed by your sharing. Thank you so much for sharing with us, and yeah, taking your time for joining us today. Why don't we all give Jonathan a reaction clap, all of us a virtual clap. Yeah, so thank you, Jonathan, for being with us. Thank you for joining us today. And yeah, you can put it in the chat as well. Drop your thank you to Jonathan. Yeah, you can just say thanks, John. Yeah, excellent. It's all coming in. Let me just remind us that we're going to have this Workplace at the River Biz Talk every Thursday. So it's going to be this timing. So 7 to 8 p.m. So do give us your feedback. We do notice that we want to resume to some form of normalcy, but we just heard from Jonathan there's nothing that's going to be normal anymore. So we want to hear from you. Is this timing good for you? Would you prefer another time? Let us know, and I'll tell you how you can connect with us a little bit later. But let me introduce the speaker for next week. We've got another interesting speaker. His name is Noel. Yeah, it rhymes with my name. It's Noel with an N. He's a technology specialist, and he's got many years in Microsoft. So he's got many years of experience with Microsoft, but currently he's running his own business, and he'll be talking about powerful and affordable storage for your business data. So in this time, yeah, storage, not just physical, but digital storage is a very important thing. And you've heard about things like the cloud and how you can do a network access storage in your house, different kind of things about storage, external hard disk, so many things about storage. But this is something interesting that will work for you personally and for your business. So do invite your friends and do log on. You can log on to the link and sign up right now because the links are open and it's open for you to sign in. So do join us next week. Also, if you'd like to connect with us, and even as I asked just now, for some feedback, for any of you that would like to network with us, do log on to this link. Yeah, go ahead and sign up there. It's kind of like dropping your name card at the end of a business talk or a networking session. It's a place for us to connect with you, give us your feedback. If you've got a particular interest, you need some kind of coaching or mentoring in a specific area, let us know. And myself, together with the team at Workplace at the River, will do our best to connect you with the right people. We realize that we've got many people in this Biz Talks, so we will do our best to connect all of you to the right place. All right, so thank you all for joining us this evening. It's been my pleasure to host you all. My name is Joel. I'm part of the team at Workplace at the River. And I just want to thank all of you for joining us, and have a good night. See you again next week. Bye-bye.